Hi everyone, I am so excited to see you. It is not a coincidence that you and I are sharing this moment right now. Do you know I've been working as a medium for over 25 years, and my eyes are so wide open right now and focused on this deep inner need of an awakening. Like life is consciously connecting to all that is. So I've decided to create the Lighter Side Network, where each show and each host reminds us how the everyday meets the extraordinary. Be it in the realm of mindfulness and healthy living, having an empowered and authentic life with humor, trusting your intuition and communicating with beyond, energy healing and releasing unconscious obstacles, astrology, living in your joy and truth, and so much more. Join us as we share our knowledge and experiences with you. We're going to have so much fun.
Hi everybody, my name is Laura Boone.
Hi, my name is Ursula Lentini.
Hey everyone, I'm Thershna Patel.
Hi everyone, I'm Dr. Karin.
Join me on my show.
Are you ready?
Only on the Lighter Side Network.
Only on the Lighter Side Network.
The Lighter Side Network, where the everyday meets the extraordinary. That's us.
Hi everybody, this is Laura Boone with The Real Ethereal Show, and I really appreciate y'all being here. Wherever you are, if you're on YouTube, if you're on iTunes listening, or if you're on video watching, we're just thrilled to have you. One of the reasons why I did the show and took this on is because I was going to be able to give a platform to help teach about one of my very favorite topics in the whole world, and one of the platforms that has helped me in my life, which is really what the show is all about. It's about giving people knowledge so that you can take it away and use it in a practical sense to make your life a little bit better. That's when I've done my job. Something that has really helped me change my life is the Enneagram. And the Enneagram is an amazing tool and system that you can use to help understand yourself, understand other people, and help you grow and become more authentic on your spiritual path. And today, I'm so excited. I have brought an Enneagram expert and someone that I love dearly and respect immensely, Manara Womack. We're so glad you're here today.
Thank you, Laura. I appreciate your having me here. That's fantastic.
I'm so glad you're here. Manara and I are going to have a conversation today about the Enneagram, and we're going to talk about it in a very basic way so that we hope all of you can get a little bit of knowledge to get you started. And we're going to talk about resources that are easy for you to go to start learning about it. So, Manira, can you talk to us a little bit about what is the Enneagram?
Thank you. I love talking about the Enneagram because it's such a wonderful and robust system that describes how people think, feel, and behave. And Enneagram sounds kind of mysterious, and that's because those are Greek words. Ennea just means 9, and gram means system. So it's a 9-pointed system, and there are 9 different personality types or character structures that are around the Enneagram diagram, which is a circle, because it is about infinity and being inclusive. And just because they are numbered 1 through 9, it doesn't make any number better than the other. They are all equally valuable, and we all have some of all of the 9 types, the 9 character structures within us.
So, and what you're saying is that generally speaking, most people fall into one of the types.
That's right. There is one type out of the 9 that's predominant. It's your home base.
Right.
And for people who really want to work with this wonderful system, identifying your home base is the real deal.
And Manira, I'll just tell you, and I'm going to do a show on every number type, like I said earlier, but I'm a 4, and I will tell you, I had one of those moments in my life when I first read about a 4 and I first took the test just to figure out who I am. And there are tests online you can take, and we'll get into some resources a little bit later in the show. But Manira, it's not exaggerating for me to say it changed my life. It really, really helped me understand who I am and what's more important, how I can become a better person and how I can feel better in my life, how I can be more functional in my life.
Absolutely.
So it just really helped me, and I'm a 4, and you're a...
I lead with 3.
3.
Yes, I lead with 3. So I too can relate to what an impact, understanding my automatic patterns of thinking and feeling and behaving, being able to identify what those are is so helpful because you have more choices about how you show up in the world, and you can choose. Kind of those patterns of thinking and feeling and behaving. Those are kind of like our default operating system, or our autopilot. And so they're habits that have served us well. But like any habit, they can be overused. And so when you can see those habits and those patterns of attention, you have a choice.
Right.
You might want to act in the regular habitual way that you act, or you might choose to do something different. And that's when the transformative power comes in with the choice and the freedom. You're kind of like not stuck in Groundhog Day anymore, like Bill Murray.
Manira, it's about, Bill Murray, Groundhog Day, but it's also, some buzzwords that you hear all the time in wellness seminars and just any kind of self-help or self-improvement discipline is consciousness and mindfulness and self-awareness.
Absolutely.
And I think this system is just a great way for us to become a little more self-aware. I do astrology, and as you know, and I think astrology, like I've said before, is a great way to kind of have a conversation with yourself. The Enneagram is even more focused and pointed and just gets right into... you can't hide when you know what your number is in the Enneagram. That's what I learned. I thought nobody could see me. I thought, I was, like a 4, I was unique and no one else in the world was like me. And then I started reading the Enneagram and I felt naked almost like, oh yeah, that's me. But I also felt really hopeful that there was a way to become a better person and to have relief.
Yes, it is. It is when you are able to see just the kinds of things that you've talked about seeing, Laura. There is more consciousness.
Right.
And you are able to behave and to show up in the world with more consciousness.
And make choices.
And make choices and have freedom. And then there comes in the whole field of compassion, because once you understand your patterns, or that there are 8 other patterns out there, all, working to show up in the world, that's when you can start to say, oh my God, there are strengths and gifts and stumbling blocks for each one.
That's the best point.
And then you realize that, oh my God, I can have compassion for myself, which is very hard for some of us, and compassion for others.
Right, because you realize they're just doing what they're doing.
That's right.
And they're coming from their...
That's right. And somebody, occasionally I hear somebody say, well, that doesn't bother me at all. Well, that's because it is not something that buzzes your buttons as your Enneagram style or your Enneagram type. And, it is very... okay, I need to stop there.
I know I've got a segue.
Yeah.
So let's talk about what those motivations are. Like, what are the types and what are the motivations?
Great. That's a good place to start.
You brought this great diagram that just boils it all down for us.
Exactly. And I want to credit Carl Haberstreet, who is an Enneagram author and organization development specialist, for this idea of starting with motivations. Because one of the beauties of the Enneagram is that it gets at the core motivations. It helps you understand why your patterns are, why you might be stuck in Groundhog Day.
That changed me.
Yes.
To understand what your motivations are. For example, what is a 4 motivation? It's It's identity.
It is about identity. It's about being unique and
Unique.
different and showing up, in the world as someone who is distinctive and different.
Each type has a different motivation.
It does. For example, point one, the motivation for point one is doing the right thing. And they can be very diligent and very focused on that. And they show up in the world with having a strong moral compass, strong beliefs. And they are a great asset in a group or on a team because their attention just zeroes in to what might be wrong or what could be improved. So they can be very, very valuable when it comes to that. And, they can do that for themselves and for others. Demotivators for them can be leadership that is unethical or that they see that does not have integrity. That can be very demotivating.
These
for someone
people
at
can
point
be the
one.
whistleblower.
Exactly.
This is the, Edward Snowden, whether you agree with him or not, he has, guarantee he's a one.
Right.
He has a set of principles and he will sacrifice everything for his principles and what he believes is right. That's a one.
Exactly.
Right.
That's a one. And so this is a strength. But like any strength, we can overuse them. And so it's hard to see the overuse until you understand that this is your pattern. And so for point one, whose attention goes to error, you start to see error everywhere and seek a perfect world, which is not attainable.
Hypercritical.
Yes, hypercritical. And you might know that you hang out at point one if you have this strong inner critic that constantly identifies your mistakes and even warns you about the mistakes that you're about to make. And we all have inner critics, but for point one, this is on like 90% of the time, and some ones even report having it occur in their sleep states. Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about number two. Now, what little I know about number two, and I know you're going to go into more detail, they're the givers. And in their best sense, they're Mother Teresa. In their worst sense, can I just say, I have some friends that have disintegrated twos for mother-in-laws. They're about the worst type you can get as a mother-in-law if they're disintegrated. But they're at their best, they're Mother Teresa, right? They give of themselves. So you tell us a little
There's, at their best, there is that altruistic giving to show up and being helpful, being needed. Twos almost have an innate intuitive sense of what others need. And they can be very powerful in groups where they really help build the glue, the relationship glue that holds groups together. On the other hand, they can be very much demotivated when their efforts aren't appreciated. And so this can be a huge,
And it can also be manipulative. That's
it can
where
be
they
very,
disintegrate.
it can be very manipulative. Sometimes the giving becomes the ploy to get something in return. And this is really challenging for twos because they know so instinctively what others need, and they expect people to know instinctively what they need.
On the light side, one of my dear friends is a two, and when I tell you, he is always he never forgets a birthday card. The minute anybody mentions that they're sick, he's out the door with his homemade soup and juice. I mean, twos show up. That's their best thing. And it's just, they teach us how to show up. I think every type teaches us
Absolutely.
at their best how to be a better person, and the twos show us how to care. Three.
Yes.
Now, Manara's a real big expert on a three.
Yeah.
Because you are one.
That's right. I lead with three.
One of my favorite threes, you guys, is Oprah. Oprah's a three, I've read. They're the achiever.
Right. The achiever or the performer, highly motivated by success. Mapping out all the goals, getting it done. There's this moving forward, laser-like energy that, really makes sure that the goals and the mission get accomplished. And, threes really like to be noted for what they achieve. Sometimes that's in the form of money or promotions or position or, just status and prestige kinds of things. But really, those are more indicators. It's not so much the materialness of that, is an indicator because it's really the recognition.
That's their motivation.
That's really the recognition to be esteemed and admired and respected for being able to achieve. And the three, they feel like they have to earn everything. It's very hard for a three to just accept that.
Well, I will tell you, Manira, at my company that I own, I have a few threes, and they are the hardest working people. I mean, they all, well, like Manira, I didn't even talk to her about what to bring to the show today because I knew she was a three and I knew she would be over prepared. Because threes, they're overachievers. And I mean that in a good sense. They're the ones that just knock it out of the park. I mean, in my company, these threes, the presentation is over the top. They do the extra credit. Well, look at Oprah. When is it enough? Like, she's like, no, I want to help the world, and I'm going to have a network now. I'm going to have a show now. I'm going to have a network. They're always climbing. They're always trying to challenge themselves.
Yes,
and I mean that in a good sense. They're always trying to challenge.
That is a good thing about threes. It's like the next goal, But one thing that I think threes really have to be aware of and to look out for is they can be easily manipulated in pursuit of another goal. Just give it to the three. Here's the carrot. It's a goal. I'll do it. And for the three, it is a constant looking at, I'm only as good as my last performance, and the constantly having to reprove and, reestablish competence and esteem and respect.
And they can be in disintegrated form too. They can be narcissistic. They're the narcissist.
Yes,
I mean, it's in a disintegrated. The ones that are not
in an
evolved
unhealthy place
can be very. It's all about me. It's all about.
Right.
So, fours. That's me. The artist type. I guess the nickname. They all have nicknames.
Well, they all do, and it depends
the
on
artist
who's
type, the intuitive.
Yeah, the individual one, the artist, sometimes the tragic romantic, the unique one. Those are all descriptors that get attached to point 4.
So some famous fours. I mean, I love Janis Joplin. She's actually born on. She's an astro twin. That's what I call it. She's born on my birthday, but she's a 4. Textbook 4. Jim Morrison. I mean, there have been a lot of artists that have died tragically, but also artists that
James Dean.
James Dean.
He, is a perfect exemplar of that. Princess Diana would be another one.
Oh, I never thought about that, but that makes sense.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about your perspective on 4.
Well, for 4, it is about the uniqueness and being different. And one of the things, the beautiful aspects of 4 is that in a group or in a team, they help create connection with meaning. They create deep connections with purpose, with what is happening with people on the team. They are very connected to their feelings and to their emotions. So this is a great gift because the other thing that 4 can do is that they can spot what's missing. This is
I've never heard that described that way.
Yes.
That's interesting.
They are able to spot what is missing because they are focused on the elegance, the beauty, the aesthetics for completion, for bringing something to fruition.
Hence my shoes, you guys.
Yeah.
On the shirt. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Well, and these aren't my, I like these. I'm doing a casual look today.
Yeah.
No, but I'm very aesthetic and just artists. And even if you're not an artist, a 4...
You don't have to. You
they
live life
create
as
their
art.
life. Right.
You live life
good
as
way to
art. Yes. And, sometimes what I hear from 4s, it's like, the uniqueness or the difference. It's almost as if, when humans are minted, there's this huge conveyor belt of humans and they all look alike on the outside, except you know that you're different on the inside and you're not quite sure.
Which speaks a little bit, I can speak to the disintegration, you guys, and I'm going to do a whole show on fours. I'm going to do one on every number, but
Yeah.
self-conscious, depressive, introverted at times. I mean, so and we're not going to get into this as much today because I don't think we're going to have time, but every type has an integration and a disintegration. So disintegrated fours, those are the more challenging negative traits.
Right.
And then you describe the positive traits. And every number has this. So
Absolutely. And, there's the low side and the high side.
low side and
of
the high
each
side.
one. And there's middle places
So
too.
the way
but-
this works is that you can, when you know what your low indicators are for your number and you know what your high indicators are, you can start to recognize, oh, I'm being kind of the low part of a four. I need to
Right.
start focusing on the positive side, which with whatever number you are.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yes,
I
that's
love
exactly
that.
right. What you're doing is building your capacity for observing yourself.
Love that.
And one of the reasons I love using this in business and organizational settings is because the Enneagram is the best 360 model you can use. Though 360
Yeah.
degree feedback
Business
is very
speak.
good. It's corporate business speak, and all of that's great. And you're getting feedback from those in your circle whom you interact with. What I love about the Enneagram is that, yes, you're getting the feedback from the Enneagram as a mirror without anyone else's bias in it.
Right.
It's your true reflection. So
love
that's
it.
what makes it so valuable.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Self-awareness. Okay, so what about a 5?
Okay.
Now, I'll tell you a famous 5.
Uh-huh.
A friend of mine was
Okay.
telling me this other day. The Unabomber.
Oh.
I hate to smile when I say that because he was
You did
not
smile.
a good person. Sorry, the Unabomber.
Okay, well, I'm going to
No, it
go.
was terrible.
So if you're
Yeah.
a 5,
So not all 5s are Unabombers.
No. And
That was the disintegrated version of
there
a
you
5.
go. A good exemplar of a 0.5 is Bill Gates.
Integrated 5.
Yes.
I
yes.
never knew that.
Yes, bringing the best of what he has to offer.
never
so
knew that.
yes, another one is Laura Bush.
Oh, okay.
Yes, if you-
Integrated 5.
Yeah, integrated 5. So
Wow.
yeah, take that in.
I love that.
Yeah.
Well, so see, guys, how it can be Bill Gates to the Unabomber.
There's a whole spectrum.
Right.
There's an entire
Disintegrated,
spectrum.
integrated.
Yeah, and
What's their nickname? They're the thinkers, right?
well,
They're
there are the thinkers, the observers.
they gather info, right?
Right,
That's your
right.
neighborhood librarian
It can be
or editor or cataloger.
Right, exactly. Their motivation is knowledge. Yeah, there is this unquenchable thirst for knowledge, which gets played out in data that is meaningful and education.
And being an expert.
And being an expert, absolutely. The knowledge that a 5 loves is very life-giving to the 5. And they can bring objectivity and analysis. That is such a great gift and a great strength of someone who leads with 5. And I want to say, it's not that a 1 can't have these gifts. I'm just sharing that these are the gifts that are unique to these particular home bases.
Right.
So
Now, disintegrated,
okay.
paranoid.
Well, perhaps, but before we get into like more pathological kinds of states, I think probably one of the less healthy indicators of someone who is at 0.5 is how they cut themselves off from their emotions and their feelings. They tend to compartmentalize. They have very strong, mental acumen and mental capacities. And in order to do that and to keep those wheels turning, it's almost like they're cut off.
So they're up here, they're not here.
That's right. They are cut off from their hearts and from the sensations in their bodies, which clears the deck for them to be in their cone of knowledge and processing that.
So this is sort of the non-emotional professor that we've all had in our lives at one
Yes.
point or another.
Yes, that's exactly right. And it's not that they don't have emotions and they don't have feelings. It's just that they don't examine them and use them in the moment. They will come back to those emotions and feelings when it's safe.
Okay.
Because those are messy and they can get in the way
Right.
of all the wonderful objectivity and analysis.
And their wheelhouse is intellectual.
That's right.
So they go there.
So a growth edge for 5 would be to be able to open up to allowing some of those feelings and those emotions in the moment, and to find that safe space within yourself to be able to do that.
Oh, that's great. That's so great. Okay, 6. 6 is, I have some great 6s in my life, but 6 is a little tricky to me to
Yes.
notice or to identify.
Yes.
What's the
Well,
description?
Well, the 6s are sometimes called the loyal skeptic because they are very skeptical of authority. They kind of have this love-hate relationship with authority. They want authority to be benign and benevolent, yet they don't trust that it necessarily will be. And as far as point 6 goes, the reason it can be very tricky is because there's a spectrum there of people who are the distrust. You can see it manifest in fear, where they are almost a phobic 6. Think of Woody Allen, for example, the
6.
doubting.
Yeah.
What's next? What if? What? And then on the other spectrum, they can be counterphobic, where they're going to go against the trust and against the fear.
I've heard they can be in like cults.
Yeah.
Like they're susceptible to that kind of indoctrination.
Yeah.
I mean, the disintegrated ones. I'm
Right.
for you guys, so I go straight to the
Because it's
I want to go right to the drama, the
right,
negative
right.
drama.
But
Because
the counterphobic. Think Richard Branson. Richard Branson is really a great exemplar of a counterphobic 6 because he is going against the fear or the mistrust he might have to make certain that it's going to be okay. So he doesn't pull back; he goes against. And people who are have the counterphobic 6 pattern do that. Now, some people are almost always counterphobic, and some people who lead with 6 may be almost always phobic. But what makes it so hard is that they slide up and down between the phobic and the counterphobic.
Well, I think what I've read and heard is that they can be disintegrated 6s they have phobias, they have a lot of anxiety, and you discuss some of that. I think a couple of 6s that I am very close with, they are the most loyal people on the planet. They are the team builders. They're the people that keep the family together. They're the people that keep the team together. They're the people that, in a sort of different way than a 2, they sacrifice for the team, or they try to make sure that everybody remembers that we're all in this together. And that's one of my favorite things about the 6.
Yes, the 6 can be very, very focused on keeping the team together. They are hyper vigilant about things that could be threats to the team.
Right.
Whether it's the team or their family, whatever group they may be in. So that hypervigilance is very much a characteristic of point 6. And they can be wonderful to have as friends and in a group setting and as teams because they have excellent critical thinking skills and the capacity for wonderful insight. So there are many gifts that point 6 brings, and those are 2 that really are, wonderful assets.
I love that. So 7s, they enter the room and they're there. They're the extroverts, the bubbly types. Surprise everyone, like we are pretty suspicious that Jamie Butler is a 7. I know that would be a shock to everyone. The life of the party, the trickster, the fun person who just keeps it going and keeps the energy up, right? But I want to hear your description as the expert.
Exactly. The point 7 really is all about adventure and opportunity. Opportunity is the real deal for someone who lives at point 7. They love options, having it be wide open and being able to capitalize on those options and opportunities, and doing it with fun.
Right.
I have one.
Fun is the word for
fun
sevens.
is fantastic. And in a group or in a team, you know, they bring fun. They're kind of the joy makers of the Enneagram. They bring fun and adventure. They can be very innovative, and they have often quick and facile minds. They're great at ideation, bringing ideas to the table. So there's innovation and flexibility.
They know a little bit about
A lot of things, yes. And, you know, sometimes their ability to move quickly, I think, is what's referred to as a monkey mind in some of the Eastern spiritual traditions. But they're able to synthesize and process, you know, extremely well. So, you know, someone who leads at point 7, you know, you might know you're 7 if you believe that you can do anything if you just put your mind to it, and that there should be absolutely unlimited options that are available. This is a big deal for someone who
And
leads at
also,
point 7.
they want new all the time.
Yeah, new stimulation.
New stimulation.
Yeah, stimulation is very much part of the process for someone whose home base is at point 7. I actually had someone tell me who leads with point 7. She's like, fun is my religion.
Yeah.
So yeah, and you know, someone who is
They get bored.
They get bored easily and they move on.
So they're not the best boyfriends, guys.
Yeah, but you know,
They're not the best boyfriends.
Right, a great exemplar at point 7 would be Bill Clinton.
Oh.
Yeah,
didn't
some
know he
people
was a
say
7.
He may be a 3, but he likes to have fun. Let the good times roll.
Yeah.
So him and John Kennedy, both leaders who, you know, flexible, innovative, going with. So those would be a couple of exemplars of point 7.
Thanks, 7s.
Yeah,
They bring the party
the
to life.
fun,
We love
right.
that.
The party, the fun parts.
Okay, so let's bring the hammer down and move on to point 8.
right,
We're going
and
to bring the hammer down.
that's exactly right, because
So all that fun, and then the 8
Right.
comes in. Bam!
Bam.
So 8 is the leader, the entrepreneur. Donald Trump is the most quintessential 8 ever. Who else is a...
Rosie O'Donnell,
Oh,
Martin
they
Luther
love
King.
each other.
Arnold,
Who?
Martin Luther King.
Martin
Yeah.
Luther King was an 8,
yeah,
yes.
Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Okay.
Yeah. So these are people who have very strong and forceful energies. You know when an 8 is in the room. It's big energy. It can be challenging energy.
They challenge.
Right. They are sometimes seen
Challenge
as a
authority. They
challenger.
are the authority.
That's right.
So if there's another authority in the room with them, they challenge it.
They test it out.
Right.
Testing it out is a very strong trait of someone who leads with 8. They're going to test out you, me, and their sense is that the world is made up of 2 kinds of people, strong and weak. And they would be among the strong.
Right.
And only the strong survive. So this can also bring out that protective side of point 8, because they really struggle. They don't like injustice. When there are threats to their turf or to others, to people they care about, they want to have people's backs. So this is their real focus of being the rock, being the protector, to be there, you know, for, it's kind of like the rock of Gibraltar for
Well,
people.
you know, my business partner is an 8, and I have some other 8s in my life. So I've had intimate, dynamic relationships with 8s. And I will tell you, just in general, and you can see it even with some famous 8s, they can be the bully, disintegrated. They're the bullies, they're controlling. They can be dominating and kind of forget other people are there. Oh my gosh, at their best, they are the heroes.
Yes.
They lay their lives down for others. They lead the charge. They are the strong one that keeps the group together and forges ahead. And oh my gosh, when my partner, my business partner Ellen, is integrated, it's just people are drawn to her for strength. I mean, it's just they're the people you go to lift you up and to help you keep going. I mean, it's such a 8s get such a bad rap, but they are really, really a wonderful asset to have in your life, a wonderful, relationship to have in your life. They're the strong heroes at times.
Yes. They are really pillars of strength and courage. They
Courage.
Yes,
That's the word.
They are very courageous. And you know what I love about being in relationship with eights is that they are direct. They
Yes.
are the no BS people.
Yes.
They have one of the finest
And they can tell when
for
other
BS.
people. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, truth is one of the real, bedrocks of point eight, seeking truth. Injustice, like we pointed out Martin Luther King, social injustice, he's a perfect exemplar of that.
Big integrated eight there.
Yes. They're towers of strength.
Towers of strength.
Yeah, and I think, for eight, sometimes the challenge can be to allow yourself to be supported with strength that others want to give to you, because it's hard. There's a struggle sometimes with being vulnerable when you have to be strong or feel like you have to be strong all the time. The good news is you don't have to be strong all the time.
And see, this is what I can't wait to get into some other shows, you guys, with each of these types, because I'm going to have a show individually on each type, and we're going to talk about what your strengths are and what your weaknesses are, and how to really help yourself evolve and be happier per the type you are.
Right. Yeah. I mean, the point of this is to be able, as we were saying earlier, to be more conscious, to understand and give yourself choices and freedom, because when you can do that, there's so much more peace.
Yeah.
I mean, life brings stuff to us, and that's not going to stop. That's part of being a human on the planet.
Yeah.
But how we work with it and respond to it can be our choice.
And I
our
love
freedom
that.
and
That's
our control.
that's the key right there, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's move on to type 9.
Yes.
The peacemaker is the
Right.
nickname I've heard.
Peacemaker, harmonizer, mediator.
Okay.
Those all are great descriptors of someone whose home base is at point 9.
Right.
And for point 9, really bringing people together, being able to, look at and suss out the different points of view when they're in a group or a team setting is a great gift of 9. Now, 9s also struggle with conflict. This is a hard thing for 9s because it kind of goes against the grain of wanting to have harmony and peace. But, when a 9 can be in their place of health, they are able to be with and sit with, some of the conflict that is there and help moderate or mediate it. I think for 9s, if you think you might be a 9 and you don't ever express anger or maybe even have trouble knowing that you're angry, this is a pretty good indicator, because the harmony, the quest for harmony, like I was saying earlier, any of these are strengths, but overdone or overused, they can take us to that place of unhealth.
Famous 9s, Barack Obama, I know, is a 9.
Yeah.
I've read about that.
Right.
Jimmy Carter is a 9.
Yeah, there are a lot of presidents and leaders.
presidents.
Ronald Reagan.
Ronald Reagan was a 9.
Power.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah. Dalai Lama.
Dalai Lama's a 9.
Yeah.
Wow. So at their best, 9s integrated, they are the ones who really help others by example to see all points of view, and they're very democratic. They're democracy.
Yeah.
They're like, we all have our own
Very
unique points.
inclusive.
Inclusive.
Yes.
That's a good word. At their disintegration, I know they really can disassociate, and they can almost be accused of not doing enough. Like they're almost polar opposites to an 8, where an 8 will go in and wrestle the problem. Wait, there's a problem? Let's wrestle it down and let's get this solved.
Right.
Or let me speak up about this problem. And a 9 kind of sits back, and sometimes they cannot act.
That's right.
Quickly enough.
That's right. It's an inertia.
Inertia.
That comes from that issue with anger and conflict, or the reactivity to anger and conflict. So it's almost like you're frozen. Mm-hmm. There's inertia, there's anger, but it's sometimes called the anger that went to sleep. It gets pushed down. and it's kind of a process of self-forgetting. So sometimes it might look like someone who leads with point 9 when they are, in a place that is less healthy. It's almost like narking out. They forget themselves. And point 8 can forget themselves too.
In a different way.
In a different way. And
We all forget ourselves.
That's right.
Every type forgets themselves
they
in a different
absolutely
way.
do. And I think what you were talking about a moment ago, how the 8 is the polar opposite of 9, this is true of a lot of the points on the Enneagram. So there's a lot of, opposite and tension there, with the different energies, which are all growth opportunities for anybody. So there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so Manara, can you give us a little bit about the history of the Enneagram? Like, where does it come from? Why is it useful?
Sure. It is an ancient system, and we don't know exactly where it came out or where it came from, but the sense is that it primarily arose in the Middle East, which is the cradle of civilization when you
So
think
it's
about
that
it.
old.
It's that old.
I did not know that.
Yeah, it's that old. It comes from the spiritual traditions of the Sufis, the Christians. It's manifest.
So
in
it's cross religion.
It's cross religion. It's a system that's cross cultural. This applies because it's about 9 different patterns of being and showing up
And
in the world.
archetypes, right?
And archetypes. That's exactly right. And the patterns are there, so they speak. Whatever your culture, whatever your heritage, and so on. But yes, it arose in the Middle East, in the cradle of civilization, where a number of the great spiritual traditions rose up. And for example, one of the things I will share is that in the early ADs, with the desert fathers and the desert monks who were inhabiting the Middle Eastern hillsides and cliffs, there was a monk there who identified the barriers or the obstacles to monks being in prayer. And they are the same barriers and obstacles for the Enneagram.
How amazing.
Yes.
And here's what is really incredible to me, because I didn't know about the history of the Enneagram. So many trained psychiatrists, therapists, people use this
Yes.
in practice, like trained professionals. I mean, it's a very legitimate system
Absolutely.
that a lot of people of notoriety and that are very well respected love this system. So it's come from that.
It's come from that, and actually, it shows up even in literature. Odyssey.
Oh, really?
Each of the places that Odysseus stops along the way in order are the points around the Enneagram.
I didn't know that.
Yes,
Oh
yes.
my
So those patterns have shown up, in spiritual traditions and in literature. Dante's work, the Inferno, the Divine Comedy.
So it's kind of like the
manifest.
collective unconscious
It
and
is.
archetypes, where it's like the truth is the truth is the truth.
Yes.
So it bubbles up in cultures all over the world
Absolutely.
because it's an explanation of the human psyche
It is. It's a map of the human
that happens
psyche.
over and over and over.
Right. It's the patterns. And, it's used, as you were saying, by therapists, by coaches, by spiritual directors. It's used in organizations to help build emotional and social intelligence, because the workplace is a better place and is a more successful place.
And
when
Manara,
that
here's
occurs.
my thing. I've used it personally, and
Yes.
that's really what I want everybody to know here at the show, that you can use the Enneagram personally. You don't have to go get a doctorate in the Enneagram for it to help your life. Let's talk about some of the resources.
Absolutely.
Because I want people to be able to listen to the show and then go home and just grab a couple of resources and start to work with this with themselves and in their relationships. This is to me the Enneagram, just a good starting point for the Enneagram. It's called The Wisdom of the Enneagram. It's by Richard Rizzo and Russ Hudson. And you can go to the EnneagramInstitute.com, and we'll have some of this information on the video. But this is just a great starting point and a good reference book. And I know, Manara, you had a couple of things that I
Yes.
had not even heard of before that you're telling me as an expert
Yeah.
the best.
Yeah.
So tell us about those.
Okay, I will start with this book, which is called The Complete Enneagram, and that one's called The Complete Enneagram. You know what? There's no such thing as the Complete Enneagram.
Right.
Because it is evolving, which
Yes.
is a beautiful thing. But this, is also a great book, and it really speaks to all the resource points around the Enneagram. For example, as someone who leads with 3, I have 2 resource points, 2 and 4, that sit right beside me. These are called the wings. And I have connecting lines to 2 other points, 6 and 9. These are great resources for me, and I can inhabit the healthy side of these or the not so healthy side
And
of
every
these.
number has their
Every
own.
number has their own, and this book tells you a lot about that.
Helps break it down.
Yes. This is by B. Chestnut, someone who I know personally. So I'm not necessarily saying you have to buy this book. I'm just telling you she's very steeped in this and is well known worldwide as an author and an Enneagram practitioner. So there's that one. This is the big thick book. So I want to show you the not so thick
The Cliff
book.
Notes?
Yeah, the Cliff Notes version. Actually, it's shorter and it might be less daunting to some people, fewer pages, but this is a fabulous book as well. And this was developed by one of my teachers, Dr. David Daniels, and his colleague, Virginia Price, who has passed away. But it is a fantastic book. There are some passages you can read in there to see if those resonate with you about, your particular home base on this Enneagram. He also provides descriptors of the look-alike types, because a lot of the types can look the same. The behaviors can look the same, but their motivations that we will talk about.
Can
are
we
different.
talk about that real quick? Because the listeners, if you don't know what your type is, you can go online. Like, I know the Enneagram Institute just has a quick free questionnaire that you can take to try to start to determine what your type is. And do you have another resource where they could?
Actually, I do.
Yes,
Yes,
I figured you
okay,
would.
Okay, so you can go to Enneagram in Business, just Google it.
Enneagram in Business.
The Enneagram in Business, and they have a great website there that has descriptions of the type that you can read. And if you are so inclined, let me see if I can get here, there is an app that is called Know Your Type. And this app is available, on all the usual places, iTunes and so on. But the beauty of this is that there is a card sort that you can do for each of the types, and you can narrow it down to yes, no, or maybe. And then there are questions you can ask yourself, which are also on this website to help you distinguish. And, you can get other people to help you with those questions.
I love those resources. And so, guys, everybody, please, this is your homework. Go find your type. Okay? Go find your type. And then I'm going to have shows on all the types. So you can find your type, find your significant other's type, find your children's type, find your coworker's type, and then we're going to have a resource of shows on Vimeo that tell you all about your type. So that's why I'm so excited, because this is going to be a great resource for everyone.
You can even go to Enneagram Worldwide, which has interviews with each of the types that will give you some flavor for that. And this is what the app looks like. It's great. It has the card sort for you to find your type. It has descriptions. It has interactions, between types. It's fabulous. This was also created by the Enneagram in Business, so it's a wonderful tool.
Well, Manira, thank you so much for being here today. And guys, we literally talked about the tiniest tip of the iceberg when it comes to the Enneagram, didn't we?
We did, because it's such a robust system. Oh my goodness, there's the lines and the arrows. There's even instinctual
There's
subtypes
so much
that go with that.
So I have to ask
so
you a
rich.
favor.
Sure.
Will you come back?
Oh, Laura, that would be my pleasure.
Will you come
Thank you.
back?
I would. This is so
And
energizing.
do more shows.
Yes, I would love
and
to do that.
and guys, listeners or viewers, please give me comments and give us ideas for more Enneagram shows or topics or questions. because I'm going to be available to answer, and Manira will be available too to answer any questions you guys have after the show. Okay, so Manira, where can we find you? Where can the listeners or viewers find you?
Well, they can find me online at relationshipcapitalatwork.com. My business is called On Purpose, and my tagline is Relationship Capital at Work. And I work in business and organizations and nonprofits, and I also work with individuals because it is about creating healthy relationship with self and with others.
So you do Enneagram workshops and consulting with individuals. Guys, she does it with corporations, with organizations.
Yes.
It's so wonderful what you're doing, and I'm so grateful that you came to share some of your knowledge with us today.
Oh, thank you. It's my pleasure. Thank you for asking me, Laura. Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
So guys, we'll see you next time on The Real Ethereal Show. Thank you so much for being here with us. I hope you learned something. I did. I learned a ton.
Great.
Thanks, everybody. See you next time.